I'm Lord Abbey of Winter's Edge, and in this video we're going to be discussing the construction of an Amtgard legal flail. First of all, I'd like to give thanks to Vargard Malorius for his written tutorial upon which I've based most of this video. I've expanded upon it and made a few changes based on my personal experience, but he did write an excellent tutorial. Second, this is not going to be your world-class jugging flail. This is going to be something that you can show this video to a newbie, a rookie player, and hopefully they should be able to construct an Amtgard legal flail. Now, I've pre-cut all of my materials as a time-saving measure, and we'll be giving you a list of what you will need. First of all, you'll need a length of 3/4 inch PVC pipe. I cut mine 18 inches long for a balance of control of the haft and articulation of the chain head. Roughly 1 to 1.5 inches down from the one end, I've drilled a hole so that I can run a doubled up length of nylon cord through. I have 2 PVC caps, one of which I have drilled through so that I can run a doubled up length of the nylon cord. Nylon rope. I've cut this piece to about 40 inches. The easiest way to cut this is with the lighter. It melts, you can fuse the ends. For your courtesy padding, along the haft you will use fun noodle. Because of the diameter of the pipe, you will have to slice your noodle open and then cut another piece of equal length from a second piece of fun noodle. Along the chain, you'll be using pipe insulation for courtesy padding. You'll cut 6 to 10 pieces, roughly 1 inch in thickness. For your striking head, you'll use an open cell foam similar to what's found in couch cushions. You can get this at a fabric store, or you can raid an old sofa, although I'm not responsible for what your mother does to you if you raid her couch cushions. You're going to need a cloth cover. This should be roughly the length of the courtesy padding and the chain put together with a little bit added on for tape room. You need to cut a piece about 12 inches wide, then stitch along one side and stitch it together at one end so that you come up with a tube with a sealed end. On this you can do whatever sort of pommel you want. The easiest I've found, though, is the craft foam pommel. Cut about 2 sheets of sticky back craft foam into 2-inch wide strips and cut a circle of camp pad roughly 2.5 to 3 inches in diameter. You're going to need several adhesives, some form of glue. DAP really is your best bet, but for drying times during this video I will be using just the standard super glue. Packing tape, like you use in the construction of an Omni blade, and electrical tape. As far as tools, you'll need a sharp pair of scissors, a hacksaw, a utility knife or box cutter, a lighter, and a drill. This is a quick visual summary of the parts and tools that you'll need for the construction of your flail. Please refer back to this section of the video if you have any questions later on. Now that we've discussed our parts, let's move on to the actual construction of our flail. Now, your first step, like I said, is going to be cutting this piece of pipe to 18 inches and drilling a hole through. You are then going to take, at the end without the hole drilled, your solid pipe cap, and you're going to glue it on to the pipe. beauty of this stuff is it dries fairly quickly. Now, you're going to take your nylon cord, loop it down like so, and run your doubled up ends through the hole in the side of your PVC pipe up through the top. It's important at this point that you make sure you have a little bit of loop left over at the bottom. You're now going to run the ends of your cord through this cap, the one with the hole drilled in it, and then lock it down on the pipe. Then simply loop through, or take your ends through the loop and pull tight. About 10 inches from the top, you're going to want to put a square knot between in the loop, so that you end up with something like this. If you get too long or too short, you can go back and retie this knot easily. This is the most adjustable portion of the flail. Now that we've tied a knot in our cord, we're going to begin work on the courtesy padding on the haft. We're going to take our length of fun noodle and glue inside of it. We are then going to place it onto the haft in such a manner that it sticks a little above the top of the PVC pipe. Obviously, because of the size of the pipe, this does not fit on its own, so we're going to take our second piece and glue it in place as well. At this point, this will not hold on its own. You will need to take your packing tape and spiral wrap from the base up the entirety of your courtesy padding on the haft, making sure to get it tight as if you were torque wrapping an omnipod. This process takes just a moment and ensures that you will get a tight fit on your courtesy padding. Now at this point, we have the courtesy padding along our haft finished, and we're ready to attach the flail head. We're going to cut, for the flail head, 2 blocks of couch foam. Should be 2 inches thick, 4 inches wide, and 8 inches long. You're going to go where you tied your knot, and you're going to pinch the first piece of your couch foam in the center. You're then going to go and tie around the couch foam a knot. I prefer a square knot for the simple ease of tying it. Like so. Next, you're going to fold this over and ensure that you trap the ends of your rope inside of the foam. You do not want them sticking out. At this point, I like to apply a little bit of tape across the top to kind of hold it in place. This isn't strictly necessary, but it does help. Then, you're going to take your second piece, cut to identical dimensions as the first, and fold it over so that it's running along the crack. Watch. You are now, at this point, going to take your tape and wrap around your flail head. should also go the opposite direction just a couple of times to hold it in place. And once along the remaining axis. At this point, we have an attached head on our flail. Now, we need to take a tape measure and ensure that from here to here is no more than 18 inches. Otherwise, we end up with a legality issue, and any reeve will toss it off of the field. In this case, it comes out to right around 12 inches. If you've gotten it too long, it's simple enough to go back and retie your initial knot closer to the haft of the flail. Next, we're going to courtesy pad the chain. This is why we cut the pipe insulation previously. You're going to take bits of tape, lay the pipe insulation along it, like this, and wrap the tape and pipe insulation around the chain. You need to ensure that there is no more than a ½ inch of spacing between any two lengths of chain. Otherwise, once again, you run into safety and legality issues, and your reeves will not allow them to field. I find that in my case, my pinky is just a hair under a ½ inch, so I can use that as a reasonable spacing tool. If I can't quite fit my pinky in, and I've spaced my courtesy padding correctly, and it should be a safe flail. I'm going to do this for the entire length of the chain. So that I end up with something that looks roughly like this all the way up. You can double up on your articulation padding. It's not strictly necessary. It is not strictly necessary. In my opinion, it's probably a good idea. Makes it safer, makes it less likely to wrap around something you don't want it wrapping around. However, for the sake of time, in this tutorial, I will simply be doing a single wrap. I'm going to go ahead and add a second piece onto this bottom one. It seems a little small to me, and better to be on the safe side. At this point, we have our flail ready to be covered. We're going to take our sewn cover, which I've made this one a little long, but I like to bunch mine up underneath my grip, a little more comfortable in my opinion. And all I'm going to do is stuff the head of the flail inside of the cover, a little at a time. This can be a very tedious exercise and can, if you take a couple of minutes. So I fast forwarded a little to the point where I've got the entire thing encased inside the cover. Now I'm going to take my electrical tape at this point, and I'm going to go through, and where my articulations were, I'm going to take the electrical tape and wrap around to create the appearance of segmentation. You're going to do this between each of your articulations so that you get this nice chain-looking thing between your strike surface and your haft down here. You'll recall I did 4 articulations on this piece, so it's going to take just a moment to do all of these divisions. And this will take out some of the slack from where the cover is a bit long if you cut it long like I did. Now, down here, as you can see, I've got a little bit of excess on my cover. I do this intentionally because I like to have a little bit of the cloth rolled up underneath where I've got my grip tape. Now, everyone's different on how they like the handles of their weapons. That's how I happen to like my flails. All I'm going to do at this point is go through and tape down the excess. Once again, using a spiral wrap. And voila, I have a flail minus the pommel. The next step in our construction will be the addition of the pommel. Now you can use any type you like, but in my experience, the easiest type to do with a core of this diameter is what we call a craft foam pommel. You're going to take 2 sheets of sticky back craft foam and cut them into about 2-inch wide strips. Then, 1 strip at a time, along the base, you're just going to wrap the strip of craft foam around the end of the core. Take care as you go to line up each piece so you get a fairly level pommel. If you don't, you can go back with the saber saw afterwards and trim it down, or not. It's not going to matter too terribly much if it's not level, as it will be covered up by camp pad cap. But if it bothers you for the layers to be uneven, you do have those options. Now, when I get done with what I'm doing here, I'll have a couple of options. I can either torque wrap this down like I would an Omni blade, or I can plasti dip the pommel. Personally, I think plasti dip looks better, but we don't have time to watch that dry, so I'm going to teach you the torque wrapping method. You can see I've got this pommel up to a pretty fair diameter. You do have to get to the 2.5 inch mark under the current rule set. And last of my strips. Go ahead, put it on. At this point, I'm going to take my packing tape and apply tension around the outside of the craft foam on the pommel. This is like torquing down your Omni blade with a little less force because you're just trying to keep the craft foam held in place. At this point, you're going to take a circle of camp pad between 2.5 and 3 inches in diameter and attach it to the base of your pommel, just like you would a stab tip on an Omni blade sword. You want to go across both directions. And then around once or twice, just for the purpose of keeping the ends of your tape held down. So after finishing torque wrapping your pommel, all that really remains to be done is building up your grip to taste. You may have a little bit of excess cloth covering the courtesy padding. To do that, or to take care of that, simply twist and then wrap some tape around down here. Now for my grips, at this point, it's about the size I like. This cloth has it about the firmness. I just wrap it in grip tape, I'm ready to go. Now to test that your strike surface is ready for the Amtgard field, you've got a couple of options. The easiest is to beat yourself over the back a few times. This isn't really all that much fun. So I recommend tracking down an available younger sibling or marsupial and beating them with it a few times. If it doesn't hurt too badly, you've got yourself a nice legal Amtgard weapon. Take it to the field and enjoy. I hope this video helps you learn how to build a nice, safe, and easy Amtgard flail. Thank you, and have a great day. This is a shot of our finished flail. At this point, it is ready for field use. As a disclaimer, no younger siblings or marsupials were injured in the filming of this video.